Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Smoking Sous Vide. Today we're going to do a 72-hour sous vide of beef short ribs. So, beef short ribs, come like this from the butcher. You can get them in different cuts, but they're one that if they're cooked too fast, they're not that tender. But if you do a 72-hour cook, this thing comes out just mouth-wateringly tender, juicy, and just amazing. So if you've got any hypersensitive allergies in the family, this is a good way to do it. So, hands here. What we're going to do is we're going to use olive oil, kosher salt, coarse ground black pepper. I just use the Costco version for that, Kirkland. And a little bit of dried rosemary. If you've got fresh rosemary, you can do that too. So let's start by just putting a layer of olive oil across these short ribs. Now these are even still a little bit frozen, we can right out of the freezer, but it doesn't matter for sous vide. And 72 hours, doesn't matter if it's plus or minus 10 hours, it's a long cook. It's 24, 48, or 72 hours are the different recipes that are out there. We're gonna go with that 72 hour. I tried the 48 hour last time, came out pretty darn nice. Then what we're gonna do when it's done, we're gonna do a red wine reduction, and that'll act as our gravy kind of thing, and a nice sauce for it. It's a nice sugary caramelized texture to it. Okay, so we're gonna put that olive oil across, just give it a little bit of a coating for the spices to stick. Especially seeing how it's frozen still. It's mostly thawed, but let's get the end of that one. Thicker one. Okay, so there, we've got that all done. Then we go across, give a nice little layer of salt, kosher salt. Not too much, because on the thinner cuts, it's not going to take too much to over salt it. I'll give this to the pepper first. And a little bit of that rosemary. Rosemary flavor just pops right through it, and the flavor after it's all done. To finish these, we're going to cook them while they're still not browned, and then we're going to put them and sear them on a barbecue afterwards, which is about a 700 to 800 degree Fahrenheit heat, and we're just going to give them a nice brown all over, and give them a nice look to them, a nice kind of seared up exterior. A little bit of rosemary. If you got fresh rosemary, like I say, go ahead and use it. Okay, now that's everything. There's nothing that anybody's going to react to in this. So, say some family members have some very strong allergies to some of the foods that are out there. Yep, this is a good one. There's nothing in here that's going to cause any sort of reaction to anybody. Okay, so we've got those done. Now we're going to put them into the bags. Okay. Okay, we'll take the two thin ones, put them in. There's a sharp bone on that one, just put it to the heavy side of the plastic. This bag's a bit bigger, with two big pieces in there. Okay, now we're going to vacuum seal those up. We're going to put them in the water at 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to leave that for 72 hours. That's 3 full days. And you know, I've tried this kind of beef at 24 hours. It's still rather tough. 48 is pretty amazing. This is the first time I'm doing this 72 hours, but it's going to come out still almost rare looking, or medium rare looking. It's going to have redness to it, but it's also going to have it's tender, juicy, full of meat flavor, and just it's going to be amazing, especially with the nice red wine reduction. All right, so stay tuned, and we'll put these into the water bath, and I'll pull them out 72 hours from now, and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so the beef short ribs have been on for 72 hours at 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've just got some broccoli that's going to be going here. We're going to corn on the cob, just to augment that. But we're going to do a red wine reduction now. So we're going to start, and it's usually, the reductions I've seen are about half, got the pan a little hot already, about half and half. I do 2 half cups of red wine and 1 half cup of balsamic. So you want a nice balsamic vinegar, and just put that together. You can add a little bit of brown sugar to this if you want to sweeten it up a bit. But, you know, we're just using some red wine. Any red wine will do. And you want to bring that to a boil, and you want to reduce that down to the point where it's probably about a quarter or less. It'll start to thicken up a little bit. As it cools, it'll thicken up even more. So heat that up, reduce it down, and that's all there is to a red wine reduction. Just balsamic vinegar and red wine. You can add a little bit of butter if you want to, but we have some dairy intolerances. I usually have a little bit of bacon fat. You can add a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of olive oil to sort of give it something there too. So you can add that as it goes. All right, so we'll reduce that down. I'll show you when I put those ribs on in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to get the ribs ready to go on now. The barbecue is up to it's about 700-800 degrees. So we're going to just sear these ribs really quickly and just give them a nice brown all over. We'll bring them over. So 72 hours they've been in Sous Vide, 131. Okay. Oh, they smell beautiful. The rosemary. Okay. So our red wine reduction still boiling down. The broccoli is on. Okay. So we'll pat those dry with some paper towels. I'll just grab some of those. Just want them to be nice and dry when you put them onto that smoker. The faster you can get the char on, the less they'll be kind of overcooked. Some people cut the bones out at this point. Some of those thinner ones aren't going to be worth it. So we'll just take these out and we'll put them on that smoker. So I'll show you as I put them on. All right, so we're out the smoker. It's over 600 degrees. Just going to get that up there. Everything's super hot here. You can just feel the heat radiating. And you're going to get those nice little brown. Okay, so that'll take about a minute per side. Rotate, flip them at least twice so that you get both sides. Each side will get a minute on each side. So it takes about 4 minutes total. You can always put the thicker ones on edge for a little bit if you want to, but just give them a nice little brownness all over. Okay. So it won't take long, and I'll show you what these look like as I pull them off. Okay, you can see they've been browned on all sides. We're just going to take those off. You can see, nicely browned. That meat juice is all very cooked. So, again, you want it good and hot. So it's was at least 600 degrees when we put those on. These last two, stand that up on end if you want, just like that. Same with this one. Just give them a nice little char. It's only taken about didn't even have to flip them twice. It's just first time, about a minute per side. All right. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left on the broccoli. Just so you see the full meal. I'm going to throw some corn in the cob, some hot water there, some boiling. Put that back on. Turn that off. The red wine reduction, you can see, it's almost down to nothing. It's you can see that rich kind of coating as it comes off the top. That's kind of what you want. So as that cools, it'll reduce or thicken up a bit. But we're going to leave that on just for a second longer to let that thicken up just a little bit more. And here's the way the beef turned out. You can see it all looks really nice. It's browned and all cooked to perfection. So I'll show you when we cut this. Once this red wine reduction is done, in about 5 minutes here, and I'll show you what it plates up like. All right, so our red wine reduction is done. You can see how it's nicely thickened up. You switch it around. We've got our corn done. Broccoli's just finishing up. So let's take a piece of this and just cut it open here. Okay, we'll just cut between the bones here. Cut one bone off here. Look at that. Still got some nice redness to it. Moist. You can see how moist that is. We're just going to take that, take a piece off the end. It's the same consistency all the way through. Put that on the plate. Cut that little piece of bone out of there. Take some of the red wine reduction. Drizzle that on. And you got a lovely meal. So let's just give this a little try while we're sitting here waiting to serve up. Oh yeah. You can see how nice and tender that is. Oh, it's just falling apart. I'll take a little bit of red wine reduction. Just put that on there. Oh, that's so tender. Flavor. Oh wow. This is amazing. So, again, it's 72 hours in the sous vide. Brown as fast as you can. Get red wine reduction. And this is just an amazing way to have beef short ribs. They're literally so tender. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe to my channel if you want more recipes. And I'll see you next time.